Hi, in this short video, I would like to talk about how to write a good results section. Basically, it's about one paragraph in the results section, how to write a good paragraph in terms of the structure, the verbs, and the logics. Because I found many students, when they write a results section, it's always very hard to understand, and they might use the wrong words, wrong verbs in particular. So, in terms of the structure of a paragraph in a result section, I would suggest you to write four things. Normally, you can write in the first sentence to write the rationale or objectives. Number two is to write a method. Number three is to write the results. And number four is to write one sentence for conclusion. Consider those four key points in one paragraph. Surely those all has to be under one topic or subtitle. Before we give all those summaries or the details, I just want to show you a couple of sentences in practice how you're going to write. Now here you can see this is a paper published in a very high impact journal called Cell, and then I copied one paragraph here just to analysis in terms of 4 points I have just mentioned in terms of the structure, the verbs and the logics. For this paragraph, they have a subtitle. It's called GSK3 alpha beta phosphorylation is decreased in post-mortem brain tissue from schizophrenia patients. So this is the title. Then they come up with the first sentence to justify why GSK3 signaling. You see it here, they're talking about a previous study, the significance in terms of treating schizophrenia. So this is a justification in terms of logic. Now they come up with to investigate the function of this DISC1 D2 complex. Then they measured this. So to investigate, that's the verb they have used. So this is like the objective or the aim in order to investigate the function of this complex. Then they measured. So this is the key word, key verbs. Then this first part is to justify why you do this work. In order to investigate, then we measured this GSK3. So this is a very close link to each other. Now this comes to the results. When we talk about the results, here they're talking about using a figure to demonstrate that the GSK3 alpha beta phosphorylation is significantly decreased. So decrease is the verb in the results section. After show the decreased, they give the p-value, the n number. Then they say this suggests that may lead to. Therefore, you see this is very key, important to use the right verbs here. So in the results, here's really the results. Here's justification, not really the results. This is a method that have measured this to demonstrate a decrease. The decrease is the keywords for the results. The rest is just here's justification. Here's the method that have measured this. Maybe use the Western blot, and this is suggest. Now, when it comes to suggest, this is no longer the results. This is a conclusion. The conclusion, they say, may lead to increase. Therefore, the lead to is very important as a conclusion, as a verb. So if you say this suggests increase, then that will be wrong. You cannot suggest increase. as a conclusion here. You can say may lead to increased this. That would be correct. Here's another paper. A paper talking about signaling mechanisms downstream of quinolinic acid. This is produced by inflammatory cells target on the cytoskeleton of red striated neurons and astrocyte. So they're talking about quinolinic acid. So this is one paragraph. Again, you have a subtitle here, quinolinic acid. This is your subtitle. Now, among these, I have highlighted the key verbs. For example, when you see the increased, this is the results, or prevented, this is the results. When you see the suggesting, that will not be the results, that will be the conclusion, or somehow you can use as a significance. And if you say the project for the future, you say the significance. So straight away, you know what this structure is about. The first is justification. Talk about a little bit of method, use a Western blot. Then come to the results. They use increase or decrease or prevent. They come to the very final as a conclusion sentence. They use suggest. Would be upstream of this. Therefore, suggest is upstream. So you can't measure the upstream. They did not measure the upstream of M group R5, but they say would be upstream. Therefore, this is the projection type of event. Therefore, this is suggesting. Therefore, this is the conclusion, or this is the significance. Okay. Now here's another paper published in Nature 2009 about the HDAC2 negatively regulates memory formation and synaptic plasticity. You see, I come to again these four structures. Then you see at the beginning is the aim to directly evaluate the role of this. Then we generated this. When you see this one, it's very important that you talk to each other. You have a leading phrase here to directly evaluate the role of #1, #2 in the brain. This is a leading sentence. Now you come to this sentence as why you have lead this sentence, and then we generate the mouse line in which #1 and #2 was overexpressed. Therefore, this phrase, this sentence, very closely, logically linked together. So make sure when you say this type of things, they are very closely related. So you cannot say two different things. For example, you say one thing here, you say another thing here. Maybe they're related, but not closely related. For example, if you say, I want to evaluate the role of the #1 and #2, the role, then you say, I did 5 doses of #1 and #2. So that's not really the role. You are doing the various doses. You are doing the dose response. So therefore, cannot be the role. It has to be a dose response. Now I made various concentrations. Okay, you got to be very closely related. One adjusts to another, very tightly linked. So in this results section, you can also say previous study. Then you can even cite the previous study. In the previous, they have shown this. Now we come down to here. We do not have to read all this. Now we read here. We found decrease. When you see the decrease, this is the results. This is the results you have generated in this study. So those are not the results. Actually, it's justification. Now here's the result. Say did not change, or increase, or decrease, or prevent. Those are the talking about the results. Now here, you say again come up with this suggesting is not detrimental. You can't do a result as is it detrimental or not detrimental. It is the conclusion. You say suggesting that if this increased H-1, 2 is not detrimental. So therefore, this is type of conclusion. It's not the results. Results need to be increase or decrease, no change. Now here's another paper about the results section. They published in this paper published in the Journal of Neuroinflammation. Intraventricular infusion of quinolinic acid impairs spatial learning and memory in young rats. Now here you can see they use a different type of approach to present the results. At the beginning, they have used a little bit. This is the one paragraph in the results section, and one title here: effects of intraventricular infusion of quinolinic acid on spatial learning and memory. Now they come up with this as a experiment method basically, but I think it's a bit too long. But that's okay. We can use the short, but not too long. If it's too long, that should be in the method section rather than in the results section. Now you come to here, the way they present the results, they use the statistic type of language to present the results. You come from here, there's a two-way repeated measure ANOVA revealed that at postnatal day 30, the quinolinic acid group learning significantly slower compared to the vehicle group. You see here, this sentence is to use a statistic way to describe. So this is another way to talk about the results. Either will be fine, just talk about increase, decrease, or use the statistic language to describe. It's not that often, but it's also used in the literature. So now in this case, you give the statistic, the measurement, the values, like F value. This is because it's two-way and repeat measure. You give the P value. Now they use the vehicle control and the quinolinic acid at day PN 45. There is a difference. Was not significant. I give that. Therefore, this another way to present your results using statistic language. So here similar. You can use impair, etc. Now here's a summary. I said that in terms of structure, you can use rationale at the beginning, the method, results, and the conclusion. So now here's the summary. In terms of structure, you see many of those papers now today. It's very common to have the 4 points as a structure of a paragraph for one paragraph. In this paragraph, you have rationale or have the aim or objectives. If you say rationale, you can say previous study and previous some data suggests or implicating. Or you use objective way to say it. You say to identify that we said this. Then the second point is to talk about a little bit of method. It's measured or use knockout mice or Western blot. You can compare. Those are common words used in the method section. And in terms of results, you don't you trying to use suggesting, indicating, but you can use decrease, increase, prevent, inhibition. Those very simple, very direct words. In the conclusion or significance, you can use suggesting and indicating. So this is the way to write the results section. And In the conclusion section, I have said you should not really use, say, I suggesting increase. You can't suggest increase. You measure it if it's increase or decrease. You cannot say suggesting something increased. You can suggesting something by in promoting something to increase. And in the justification section, as I said at the very beginning, you want to do this study. You cannot say in order to identify something or to figure out the role of something, then use various doses because they don't talk to each other. Then when you use various doses trying to work out the dose response, you cannot identify. You can say and identify, uh, uh, but you can say identify which particular dose. Then you say I will use various doses. That will justify. You cannot say I identify the pathway. I use various doses because they don't talk to each other. I hope that helps to you to write a paragraph of a result section. Thank you.